kind of swore this day would never come, but here we are. I've just received a mirror booth from Foto Master. After years of Woes trying to convince me that I needed to see how amazing their mirror booths were, I caved. And I caved for one reason. Because when I was at PBX, they showed me the booth itself and the interface for it, especially for AI. And it got me curious because I've hated on mirror booths for the past 11 years of my career in photo booths for the fact that they aren't really easy to transport, they're bulky, and I found that the quality in most of the mirror booths was not great. But I think I'd be doing a disservice to you guys if I didn't actually give it a chance, because I'm always saying that you need to have the right tool for the right job. So I'm going to give this a chance. And who better mirror booth to review than Foto Master, because I trust their company and I trust their product. At least I know that when I'm getting something from Foto Master, it is going to be backed up by their support, their great engineering team, and their reputation. So let's unbox the Mirror Air Booth by Foto Master. So we received this booth from the US. I'm in Canada. For those of you who are in Canada, I can tell you that we did not have to pay any tariffs, duties, or tax, or sorry, we had to pay duties and taxes, but not tariffs. So I was originally anticipating having to pay quite a large sum of money to bring this thing in, but I was really pleasantly surprised. We use a new broker and they were able to import this properly for us instead of me having to do it and paying a ton of money. So very important for anyone in Canada. If you are importing a booth from the US, make sure you get yourself an international broker who knows what they're doing. We did have this delivered to our warehouse and it did come on a flatbed truck. It's a bit of a beast. So we got the handcart that came with the package, and this thing weighs about 60 pounds. The total weight of the entire shipment was 280, which means that this is about 210. Now, obviously, you're not going to be transporting this thing in this giant wooden box, but this is how it got delivered to our warehouse, and I'm probably going to keep this just in case we need to ship it cargo or anything like that to any of our other locations. So let's open it up because we actually have not opened this yet. It has been sitting here waiting for us to be able to unbox this so that you can see what it's like receiving a mirror booth from Foto Master. We're going to get Tishan to come and help me with this. And let's see what we're working with. Okay. You also want to be careful because the box definitely has splinters. Okay, so we got an accessory kit here. In here, I have a remote control. I have 3 pictures. I guess these are all the tests that they did to make sure that it works. I have a giant keyboard, looks to be Bluetooth, LED controller. We have a power cable, I'm assuming, and a printer cable, as well as keys and an extra wing knob thing. Okay, let's take a look. There's 2 handles there. This thing is heavy. Okay, so I grabbed this bottom handle, which seems to have Velcro. I think I probably should have grabbed it from the side. You know what? I'm going to pause, though, and go watch the videos to see what we should be doing. If this is mistake number 1, people not watching assembly videos before they take out their booth. So let's go do that, and we'll be right back. All right, so I've grabbed my laptop. I am at the Foto Master website. I'm going to head over to their support section, and we're going to find the assembly videos for the booth. Now, I did get an email from their team asking me to do an onboarding with them, which I'm sure they would have gone over all of this, but I just haven't had time to do it because I wanted to do it with my entire team. So we're going to be smart owners and find those videos ourselves first. So let's head to the knowledge base. And our internet is so slow. Oh my God. Products, mirror booth, mirror air booth. Okay, so see here we have a bunch of great videos, how to transport it, the flash, camera settings, all of that. Taking the booth out of the case. So let's take a look at that one. All right, so I just found the first video, which is how to transport your mirror booth, and I'm actually shocked that it is in a sedan. This is actually pretty incredible. So it looks like they put the seats down in the sedan and it was able to fit front to back. This is amazing for a mirror booth because this was one of the biggest things that I had an issue with, was that I can't imagine anyone from my team taking this in their car without having to have a van or a giant SUV. And I don't want to be the one transporting this every single time. But because you can actually put it in the back of the sedan, this is incredible. So we have the handcart, which is still in the box. So we're going to unpack that. And then I'm going to watch the other video on how to actually take it out. So the support site is nice and easy to navigate through. So taking the mirror booth out of the case is the next one I'm going to watch. And then we're going to assemble the cart and figure out how to get this mirror booth out properly. Okay, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, we just spent a very frustrating 45 minutes, I think, maybe, trying to assemble this damn cart, and we ended up with extra pieces. The instructions are brutal, like 0 out of 10, I will say, for instructions on how to assemble this cart, because we finally got through it all, and we realized, like, we have these 2 extra pieces, which it doesn't even tell you in the instructions that those pieces need to go in between where we just were. So now we have to take it all apart again and put it all back together. We'll be back. I'm very frustrated by the trolley assembly. There needs to be an instructional video for that. But so far, that aside, getting the mirror booth, like once it's on here and when you're loading it in and out of your car, it's pretty simple because now we're just gonna unzip it. Get this guy. Then I see. So I took too much of this cover off. Yeah, you just need enough to like do that. And then, wait. But I mean, where is it? Okay, now I have to unstrap it. It's in? Yep. I'll get better. Ta-da! Oh, how do I get this part off? Okay. The bag is heavy. Okay. We unboxed it. Now we need to test a bunch of stuff. It's really well built, I will say that. It was easier than I had anticipated it being in terms of like this thing aside. But loading it on, taking the bag off, that kind of stuff, pretty solid. I mean, like I said, it's built really nicely. So we're going to go watch all of the assembly videos. We're going to put it together and then we'll come back. So we're going to open the back. Everything's really nicely labeled. TV, power, there's so many plugs. We seem to have the flashes and there's the hot shoes that come pre-wired. So we need to grab a camera to install in that. For the flash, I'm assuming, yeah, it's a bounce flash.
Oh, I see.
I'm not usually a fan of bounce flash, but we'll see how well this works. I find the lighting on bounce flash to be interesting, but we'll see what happens first. So you can extend it, which is great. Let's open the bottom. So we have 2 fans down here, which is nice. Our i7. So the kit that we got was what was it called? The DIY?
Yes.
The DIY version, but we got the handcart and we added the i7. But everything is really well wired. Like it's clean. It looks intentional. It looks like they know what they're doing, which is really nice. I'm actually pretty surprised at how compact this is. And the power cable and the printer cable are nicely here on the bottom. So you don't even need to worry about, opening anything to get power in your printer. We didn't get the printer stand. We have printer tables. I think I'm just going to buy a black one for this instead because the ones we have are white. I mean, so far so good. We're going to get a camera in here, load things up, and play around with the booth and see what we think about the mirror booth. Assembly, though, like I said, actually really easy, minus the handcart. So let's see what we got going on with the actual mirror booth in terms of running the software and doing an event.
I want to go over the actual hardware itself because looking at how the mirror booth is built, this thing was built with intention. Everything in the booth is beautifully labeled and It's really well organized as well. So the version that I got was the all-inclusive one, minus the camera, but I did get the mini PC. And so everything came pre-wired for me. There was very little that I actually had to do other than putting in the camera. And in this case, the only camera I had at the moment was a Canon T3i, but I will be swapping out for the Canon R100 very shortly. And it's an easy swap because the cables that run through it, everything is easily accessible and very well marked. So I'll be able to swap that out later on. When it came delivered to me, it was in this really huge box, but it's well packaged. And in terms of unpacking, the bag that it comes with is really well made. It looks like it's going to be very durable. And the handcart, although the biggest pain in the butt to put together, is super practical to move the mirror around. It's not a flimsy mirror, right? It's also not a really huge bulky one either, which is really nice. The legs have a variety of different settings so that you can actually adjust how far back or how far forward you want the booth to actually stand. And the bounce card also has a lot of flexibility with it as well. The border of the booth is what I thought it was delicate. And yes, it does quasi bend if you're not careful with it, in the sense of like, if you misuse the hand cart, you can bend the bottom of this, because this is just like an aluminum frame and it's just meant to reflect the LED lights. Be a little bit careful with that. But overall, it is a sturdy booth. And it, like I mentioned, is built really well and with intention. The inside as well, where the camera is very blacked out, which is something that you need with a mirror booth to try and reduce reflection. Now, we did add the silicone cone as well, because for us, we wanted to make sure that we didn't ever have to deal with any reflections if we were outside. However, it's not like we did run into it when we were shooting in the studio or in our event, because we did test without the cone as well. I also really love that the power connection and the USB plug for the printer are on the outside in the bottom left-hand corner, so that it reduces having to go in and out of the mirror booth, or, you know, having to feed wires in and out of holes or anything like that. Accessing the back of the camera to make any changes to your flashes or to the camera itself is really easy, although you never really have to do that because you can do it all from Foto Master's FM booth, which I also really love this software because it's very, very powerful, and it comes preloaded with so many other templates and workflows and all that kind of stuff. So make sure to check out the other video that I made about Foto Master's AI so you can get a kind of behind the scenes look at what their software looks like. But overall, this is a really greatly built mirror booth, and I love the aesthetic of it. We were really able to make this experience really fall in line with Modern Activation's look, and I was actually really surprised at how much I enjoyed not only the user experience, the screens, but even the LEDs on the mirror booth, making it a really modernized workflow that fit within our brand. Took the Foto Master Mirror Booth Air to an event, and I'm going to share my thoughts because I wrote down notes the entire night about the experience of using a mirror booth. And remember that this is coming from someone who swore they would never own a mirror booth. Let's start with load-in, because honestly, the first time we did it, it was a pain in the butt. We were told it could easily be done by one person, but our first time, not even close. We struggled, and it made me question everything. But here's the thing. We discovered that it really can be done by one person, and it's actually quite easy once you figure it out. You just need to know exactly how to maneuver it. And of course, we ended up recording an entire video on that. You guys can see how easy it is to do as well. So now that we've worked out that process, I have to say, once you get it on site and in position, it's honestly way more convenient than some of the other booths that we own that require assembly. So they each have their pros and cons, but I was actually really surprised with this one. With this mirror booth, there's no building anything on site, no extra pieces to put together. You literally just roll in, plug it in, turn it on, and then you're basically ready to go. Of course, with any new booth, the first few times are always going to feel a little bit rough, and you have to get used to the weight and the size and the best way to load it in and out of your vehicle. But by the third or fourth time, it actually becomes really easy, actually easier than I expected. Genuinely, I thought this was going to be a nightmare to transport and handle, but I was pleasantly surprised. It fits in a sedan, an SUV, and a hatchback, pretty much any regular vehicle, because we tested it. And yes, it can be done by one person. I can do it by myself as well. But I'll be honest, even though it's possible, we still would prefer to send 2 booth attendants because it's just easier that way. It gives you an extra set of hands and eyes, and things just go smoother with 2 people. But it's good to know that in a pinch, 1 person can absolutely handle it if they're trained properly. Now, one thing we ran into, transporting everything else. Since the booth itself takes up most of the back area in the sedan or hatchback, the space for additional gear does get a little bit tight, especially if you're like us and you travel with backup printers or other supplies. We're really careful not to stack anything on top of the mirror booth because obviously we don't want to crack the mirror. So sometimes we have to get creative, put stuff in the front seat, or even carry the printer separately without the case. Once we got to the event though, that's where the booth really had its moment. The interaction with the mirror itself was fantastic. Guests loved it. They loved how big and eye-catching it is and absolutely draws people over. Now that said, I personally think that the mirror works best with a backdrop. Without a backdrop, we found it kind of blended into the room and it didn't have as much presence as it did with our other setup. So on the other side of the room, we had an open air booth, and that one really did attract more people visually. So my recommendation would be to always pair the mirror booth with a backdrop. And honestly, you get better photos out of it, whether you're using AI or just a regular capture. It just looks better and it makes the whole setup feel more complete. Something else that stood out to me was the AI functionality. Obviously, yes, AI processing wait times can be really long with Foto Master, but honestly, it got me thinking more about opportunities here, being that you're able to run branded content, commercials, or anything like that on the mirror while people are waiting for their image to actually render. There's built-in games as well that you can do, or you could have some like funny sayings. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that have run through my head that I think, presented with the right client, we are going to be adjusting that wait time in between to be functional. So overall, as someone who used to hate mirror booths and was completely against them, I have to admit, I'm converted. Now that we've figured out how to transport it properly, set it up efficiently, and how best to present it at events, I actually said to my team while we were filming the load-in video, this booth is way more practical than I had originally thought. Yes, it's big. There's no denying that, but it's absolutely a piece of equipment that can easily fit into your inventory. And your attendants can totally manage it, even solo if necessary. Just maybe tell them not to have a bunch of other stuff in their cart. A couple of other small touch points that I want to make regarding Foto Master in general. Their support has been great. We had a lot of questions, and if I wasn't able to find something on the support site, which also has a lot of information, we would reach out to their support team, and within minutes, we would actually have a response or someone would call me. The only issue we had on our software was caused due to me using a beta version, which is exactly what happens when you use beta versions. And they actually came in, remoted into our mirror, and fixed everything for us. So I also have to give them props for their support because it really is fantastic. But overall, if you are looking at a mirror booth, please don't look anywhere other than Foto Master for your mirror booths. They really do build the best ones out there. And while my experience with other mirror booths have been minimal, I can say from dissecting literally this mirror booth in many ways, it is a really fantastic piece of equipment. Super well built, super thought out. And as I mentioned, I hated mirror booths, and I am very happy to have this be part of my inventory. In the comments, you'll also find all of the links to Photo Booth Mastery Hub so that you can watch the content on the mirror booth. And there's also a section on AI with mirror booth as well. And we will link you to the Foto Master site if you're interested in looking at this mirror or any of the other mirrors that they have. If you guys found this helpful, please do hit subscribe, and I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Share this with anyone who's interested in getting a mirror booth or has been looking for it. And as always, please ask all your questions in the comments. I will see you next time.
So you guys have to like...
You might have to just tilt it off.
Oh, I can do it. There we go.
It just fits in it.